This is Rogers TV, Durham Region. The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
This is your COVID-19 local update. I'm Deborah Hutchison coming to you from, this time, my home office. Yes, we are continuing to practice social distancing. Now, speaking of home offices and homes in general, it has been said that buying or selling a home ranks right up there in terms of stress with other major life events like a marriage or a divorce. But can you imagine actually buying or selling your home during COVID-19? That is the reality for many people these days. Joining us today is Christine Denty. She is from the Oshawa branch of Right at Home Realty. Hey, Christine, how are you?
Hi, Deborah. I'm actually well. How are you?
Oh, we are coping. We are continuing with our social distancing.
Yes.
Buying or selling a home during COVID-19, I would have thought that everything would have ground to a halt. What is the real estate market like now?
Well, like yourself, I thought the same thing. And I had, wound up a couple deals. And I thought, okay, well, now's the time to get into my favorite hobby, which everybody knows is barbecuing. And so I was starting to buy extra equipment on Amazon. And then my phone started to ring and ring. And ring and ring, and what is going on? I'm not sure exactly why the market seems to be so hot right now during this time, because I myself would have predicted that, maybe I'll get more into my hobby at home because I'm going to be less busy, but it's been quite the opposite.
Why do you think that is? Do you think people are thinking maybe they're going to get a good deal?
Well, I think if you ask each person, you're going to get a different answer. So I think we all sort of have our beliefs as to why this is happening. But I think, for most people, they're taking this opportunity with COVID-19 to sort of make changes in different ways. And maybe something to do with their home, whether it be relocating or downsizing. I actually have clients that are upsizing, and they're not looking for a deal. And in my personal experience, the prices, I guess, in the markets that we're looking in, because every market has a sub-market within the neighborhoods, we're looking at it in and around the same prices as last year. So there's a drop in the amount of sales, but I was finding that, with the prices, it's not really affected, but now the sales are picking up, and it's almost like we're making up. I think we're going to make up for lost time when people kind of sat on it thinking, maybe I shouldn't list my house. But now things are happening and people are getting out there and they're buying and selling houses like it's nothing, a little bit.
Wow. Well, it is something. With COVID-19, you've had to take precautions in everything you do. So let's start at the beginning. Even your contact with clients and getting a look at their house. How has that changed for you?
It's changed a lot. As you can see, I've got my mask on. I have my spray bottle. Usually I'll have paper towel, and I do a lot of a wipe down. I go in with my mask, and I mean, any realtor that's not practicing right on point, and I mean not missing one part of this, like a sort of protecting yourself and your clients, they're really doing a disservice. But my clients and myself, we're all making the right moves. When we go to see a home, they're wearing masks. I insist on it. I'm not showing a home unless I don't. It's my reputation. If something happens or if someone sees us go into a home and we're not, people are watching. And, when you have a reputation, your reputation is on the line, but some people just think it's like they don't care. It's just get in and out. It's nothing. But it really is a big deal.
So when you show a home, then aside from the mask and, sanitizing your hands, what other precautions is the seller taking?
Exactly. So when we go to book a showing, on every listing, there's some kind of a form that we have to fill out. So this is now extra because normally it's a phone call and off you go. But we have to fill out a form to declare that ourselves and the buyers that we're bringing in, we have to list their names, have not been in contact with anybody, has not traveled outside, and does not have the symptoms. We have to do that for every single showing. It's not really a big deal, to be honest with you, but that is one of the major changes. Not to mention, when we're leaving and just like we can't touch anything. So what agents are doing now, not only are they doing virtual tours, they're kind of having it where when the agent goes in, all the lights are on, all the doors are open, people shouldn't touch anything, like nothing. Like you literally are not supposed to touch doorways, handles, a table, don't sit on a chair, don't use the washroom especially. We're taking those precautions, and that's pretty much how it's going to be for a while, I think.
Mm-hmm. And so many people, when they are buying a home, insist on a home inspection as well. Has that changed a bit?
Not really. To be honest with you, the home inspector wears a face mask, and as usual, as soon as everybody steps outside and it's a breezy day, we take the mask off, as long as we're not in close proximity. So people have really taken, it to habit now. So I'm not finding a lot of mistakes are happening. Sellers, they're not going to be home. And to be honest with you, with my recent listings, they have not been delayed by no means with COVID. Buyers are coming in when they come in. Inspections are happening. There's no delays. The lawyers now are taking clients by video chat, and they're showing their license, and they're doing other procedures to identify the person, but nothing is happening in person at most of the lawyers' firms right now, as well as our brokerages. In order to get here to talk to you today, I had to book this appointment in advance. I had to be pre-screened. I had to fill out a form. I have a limited time. And when I leave, I have to wash down. That is the norm, as we know it right now.
What about, shopping for a mortgage? Is it more difficult, do you find, for your clients to get a mortgage these days with so much up in the air?
To be honest with you, I'm not finding a lot of, for lack of a better word, high-risk buyers coming through in the market. So if someone has 20% down, they're not going to experience a lot of changes. But there are different regulations being put forth as far as like CMHC, Genworth, and those companies, because they want to make sure the worthiness of the buyer, right? So like, especially during this pandemic, it's almost like maybe they're foreseeing that the market value is going to go down and that the mortgage companies are going to be at a higher loan to value, just simply based on the value of the home going down. Now the buyer's a higher risk. So they're putting different measures into place to mitigate that risk and make sure that the buyer isn't overextended more than what actually looks like on paper. For example, their down payment, there's going to be a lot of screening with down payment to make sure it's not coming from a borrowed source, or it's not coming from someone that they're going to owe later. So there's just extra screening. So, all I can say is, the higher the down payment you make, the better the outcome is going to be. So.
And then when an offer is made, I mean, there were days where you would, get together with your real estate agent, stay by the phone, and there were phone calls going back and forth. How is that handled now? And are you seeing multiple offers?
Yes, which I did not expect. And Deborah, to be honest with you, I've sort of had this little thing, like a different way. When the market changes, you have to change with it. A lot of my listings, I'm selling, and this is just a little tip, like I'm selling them before they hit market. So what's happening is we put the coming soon sign up. But when that sign is up, we are literally ready to show and sell, because usually your first offer, your first one or two is the best one you're going to get. Reason being, that's a buyer that is motivated. They've seen other houses. Maybe they've seen too many. They're over it. Your house comes along, they're like, let's just get this done. So there is quite a very robust market prior to listing that a realtor can really take advantage of. I mean, as far as commission, everything works the same. But as a buyer, if you're not calling your agent when you see a coming soon sign, the likelihood is that you could lose out on that property. I know you don't know the price, you don't know how many bedrooms, but you kind of have to take your chances and be a little more resourceful right now if you're really specific about the home that you want.
That is absolutely crazy. That reminds me of a couple of years ago when, the market was so incredibly hot. It's every house was getting multiple offers and they were getting into bidding wars. Are you seeing bidding wars?
I am. And to be honest, and I'm not saying that my experience is the same as other realtors because I haven't even had time to chit chat with people because I've been going. And I mean, you talk to my husband, so you probably know, it's like, she's busy. It's been rather crazy. So, if you're not in that market early, like I said, it's annoying to have these multiple offers coming back. I don't see it lasting forever. And it could just be the micro neighborhoods because some neighborhoods that aren't as much of a demand, they're not experiencing the same thing. So that's why, like I said, it all depends who you ask. Yeah.
Are we talking, what is in demand now? Larger homes, smaller homes?
No.
Or is it a real gambit?
Yeah, what's always been in demand is if you look at the median demographic and you look at, as far as, and we can find this, this information for our clients as well. We have that information at our fingertips. But if you look at the demographic in an area and you see what the incomes are, so you're kind of going to look for the most like popular median income. What houses are they buying? So when you have the biggest population have a certain characteristic, those homes are going to be in demand. So what's in demand right now is 3-bedroom homes and 4-bedroom homes in the suburbs. Because of the summer and the sunshine, country properties are going crazy. Like, I mean, you're lucky to even see it. It's going to be sold. They like north properties, country properties are flying out the window. So those are the most popular right now, but the country properties in the fall is probably going to die down a little bit. But just those 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom homes between 600 to about 750, 800,000. Those are the ones that are really popular right now.
Okay, we only have about a minute and a half before we have to throw it a break. But I want to ask you, with technology taking over, and technology has been our lifeline throughout COVID-19, yes. What if your clients are seniors or those that are not as technologically adept, shall we say?
Okay, it's very easy, to be honest with you, because my policy is when we're dealing with the documentation, some people, they use DocuSign, they're really quick to have it at their fingertips, and they prefer that. But then we have the client, like you said yourself, I do what my client asks. Bottom line, I will show up with the papers, I'll have the mask, I'll have the, I'll do whatever I can. We're very careful, but I do whatever my clients, the way they want to do it.
Are you finding a lot of people who still want to go old school?
Not very many. I'm actually quite happy with this change because I'm a little more with technology. So it's making things go a little more efficiently when more people get on board with technology, because I think a lot of organizations and companies, they'll sort of always, do things for the people who maybe aren't, so it kind of slows things down. But now that everybody has to and they don't have a choice, I'm actually enjoying the change in technology right now a lot.
It's making things a lot faster, that's
much
for sure.
Easier, much faster. It should have been done way back when, but you know what? I mean, now people have to, and if they don't have a choice, and I'm actually kind of happy about it, I'm not going to lie.
Okay, I'm going to hold you there. We are in conversation with Christine Denty from the Oshawa branch of Right at Home Realty. More to come after the break. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Allison.
We are so excited to be back for another season of The Parenting Show.
Yes, and the topics for this round are things like the infiltration of tech in the family, ways for parents to prevent underage drinking, good old sibling fighting and rivalry, and how to handle those nasty power struggles in the family.
And it's a great way for you to realize that you are not alone. It's all right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to your COVID-19 local update. I'm Deborah Hutchison. Joining us today is Christine Denty from the Oshawa branch of Right at Home Realty, talking about real estate and selling and buying your home during COVID-19. Christine, you're not only a real estate agent, you are also an author. Christine has written the Girlfriend's Fabulous Guide to Real Estate. You wrote it back in 2016, Christine?
Yes, and I'm actually working on a second edition, but what I'm doing right now, anybody who's looking for a copy of it, I'm putting a little update sheet in it, and also anyone who is locally here, I will give them a free copy of the new one as soon as it's ready.
So let's talk about the Girlfriend's Fabulous Guide to Real Estate. Your focus was on single women of all ages who were buying a house, and it was there to answer all their questions from, the buying to the owning to the selling. Why your focus on a single girl?
Yeah, and actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's also for the non-single girl, because sometimes the woman is the one who's doing the research and making the decisions. So sometimes it's that dynamic that we as women end up the one being in charge, whether it be because we're single, helping our parents, helping ourselves. But especially in my case, being a realtor, with my husband, I'm the one who's going to, take charge, right? And I found that finding the information is a little bit different. Being a woman than a man, completely different. I find that a lot of the information out there can be geared towards men. As women, we're different animals, and I think we all know that. There are some differences between men and women. And when I used to be a financial planner, and I actually did a lot of stock and bond trading, I noticed the difference because the women were not risk takers the way men were. They left their money in portfolios longer. The men were more like day trading. So when it comes to looking for information on real estate, as women, we tend to kind of want a little bit more, not the 10 best ways, 10 worst ways. That I'm like, no, cut the crap. I just kind of want to know. I want my information. I want, I don't want to be sort of like belittled in the process. This is what I want. So I put this book together for women that, want the information without all the other stuff around it. Just and you can go through the book, whatever situation you're in, go right to that page. You don't have to read the whole thing. Secondly, this isn't a skinny book. This book, it took me 2.5 years to write it. There's a lot of material in there. So you're not going to lose, any information on trying to Google whatever. I put as much as I can in there, and everything that everybody has asked me, I've put in there for, my clients and for our female population.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I love how you have broken it down into its simplest form. Very simple.
Yeah. Like we're, as women, we work, maybe some of us don't. I'm happy, but we work. We don't have time. We have kids. You know what? Give it to me. Don't make me go through all this. Like, okay, if you have my book now, you're gonna pay $40 a month for, I don't know, Lord knows what. You know what? My book is $20. It's affordable. I give it away for free most of the time, to be honest with you. There is a copy on Google Books as well. It's actually on the second page of Google, which made me pretty happy, not gonna lie. And it's $4. You can download the digital version. It's the exact same content. It's at your fingertips on your phone, so that anytime you need the info, you just go right in there and you get everything you need.
Yeah. I love it. I love the way you've broken it down to, buying, owning, and then selling. When buying, what's really scary for a lot of us is financing. We will never arrange financing for this much money ever for anything else. And I think that's what stops a lot of people, is that fright, that worry. What if I, I take this leap and something happens?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it, most of us have to pay for housing, whether we rent or we buy. So personally, I mean, there's nothing wrong with renting, and there's a lot of points to sort of support that that's a good idea too. The only thing I find is when you buy a home, and especially now with the rates are so low, for example, my husband says to me, gosh, our mortgage payment is so high, it's annoying, right? Because I look at, 10 years ago, my mortgage payment was maybe $800. Now it's like $2,400, or it's ridiculous. But when you look at it though, it's forced savings. There's so little going towards interest that my husband and I, we love to entertain ourselves. We love to travel, and we spend a lot of money, right? So if it wasn't for this forced savings for ourselves, because when you look at it, we see the mortgage going down fast because our payments are so high, but we wouldn't be saving $2,000 a month on our own. So if you look at it that way, it's forced savings. So when you go to sell your house, you're going to have some equity, hopefully, right? When you're renting, your landlord could one day say, listen, it's been a slice, but I want to sell my home. And guess what? 60, 90 days, you're out looking for a rental property again. What if your credit went to mud during that time? What if you're jobless? There's so little control. And when you own your home, I just find you have so much more control over the outcome rather than renting. So that's sort of, why I push ownership a lot more than I do renting.
Right. You also, when in the buying section, you cover everything from closing costs, carrying costs. People forget about the closing costs too, don't they?
Well, what happens is we're all shop happy, and I am not an exception. I love to shop. So when it comes to home buying, we're kind of the same, and so when it comes to that, it's just about planning everything that you're going to do, and just making sure you're fully prepared so that, with the outcome, it goes as planned. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's so important to plan all this stuff in advance.
Now, I love the owning section too. I love this one. How to deal with neighbors, good and bad.
Yes, because like I said, this book is your one-stop shop. Honestly, and what you're saying with the budgeting, we go out and buy a house and we're like, I love it, it's beautiful. You go buy it, and then when you do all the math, and you don't account for property tax and everything. So, sorry, I meant to state that. So, this book has you practically look at everything. There's an answer for almost everything you can throw out. These are all the questions that my clients have asked me. I even have in there how to get rid of pests. I have an emergency toolkit, and especially now, and I wrote that long before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So, here's your emergency toolkit. What if, for a rainy day and something happens? I mean, I threw everything in there that as a woman, as a homeowner, buying, selling, owning, it's like everything I can imagine that, you're going to sort of come across and wonder about.
And, if you read it beforehand, then nothing comes as a surprise. That's what I like about this book. So, but let's talk about that, how to deal with neighbors, good and bad.
Yes.
Does that come from experience, Christine?
It could be. So my husband and I mean, we're social people and everything, but, things happen where, let's say, noise factors, or maybe in your backyard, like your kids are always, playing on the driveway, maybe noisy for someone, and you have a quiet neighbor. All kinds of things that you can encounter that can put a relationship off. And, when you're buying and selling, I mean, it might not kind of hurt you now, but sometimes you get those neighbors that when you're selling, they do silly things and to hurt your sale. And you just don't want to go to a point with your neighbors that it stresses you out, causes you to want to move, causes them to want to move. So sometimes you have to accept the fact that, no one's perfect. And sometimes you just actually need to get to know them a little better. And once you do, you wonder what all the fuss was about before.
Yeah, when you get to know people, I can tell you that I talk about my luck. My husband and I talk often about the fact that we really lucked out with neighbors on both sides. And, on one side, we've had multiple neighbors. That house is sold multiple times. And it's we're super duper lucky on that. Your best advice then for Let's talk about best advice because we're rapidly running out of time. Your one best piece of advice for buying a home.
Oh, absolutely. You have to get pre-qualified. Please don't go shopping until you have that mortgage broker, mortgage representative say you are qualified for X amount. Because what happens is some people want to go shopping. I want to see what this will buy me. I want to see what this will buy me. Guess what? They fall in love. We're making an offer riddled and sprinkled with conditions. We have to go at a higher price just to entice the seller. It's not a good way of doing it, you know? So I would say just be prepared, be patient, get pre-approved first. Secondly, use an agent with experience that has a good reputation. Talk to them, have a conversation. Don't get lured in by signage and offers and things like that. Get to know the realtor first and make sure that they're gonna work really hard to uncover every stone for you. And that's really, really important.
Ask for references. Should a real estate agent have references at hand?
You can do that too. You can Google your agent. That's one way to find out. So again, technology. And you can also, like I said, talk to colleagues. You can, or even, people who, like your neighbors, like just find out experiences. Even Google, what makes a good agent, and make sure that person follows at least 8 out of the 10. Don't get lured by, fancy cars, the way they dress and whatever. It's, bottom line, it comes down to, can they make you a really good deal? Do they get along with other agents? Are they experienced? Do they put you first? That's number one. And are they competent? And when you have someone and they check all those boxes, you're really putting a recipe for success for yourself, ultimately. So your choice in agents is going to really determine how successful you are and how happy you are in the end. So you have to be really, really careful who you choose.
Best advice for owning the home. I'm breaking down your book here. You have the owning section.
Yep. To renovate or not to renovate?
That's the question.
To renovate or not to renovate? Okay, so let's pretend you do have a good agent that you talk to from time to time, because we're not here just for that sale. Come to us a year later, 2 years later. We're here to help you. Have your agent come in and say, listen, is it worth me doing this? Is it worth me doing that? Am I going to get return on it? I love when people include me in their renovations. Not only do I help them, to be honest with you, on the most part, I save them a lot of money because they were going to do something. And they decided, I said, it's not worth it. It's a townhouse. Don't put granite countertop. It's a townhouse, right? So certain times I've saved my clients a lot of money, because when I have my buyers, and we walk through houses, and I've seen the looks, and I've seen the body language. I've seen it many times. I know what buyers go goo goo gaga and what they go, right? And a lot of people spend a lot of money on the, right? Really? Not anymore. Yes.
Okay. So 30 seconds left. Tell me, what do buyers go goo goo gaga over?
A nice backyard, fresh paint, clean, not cluttered, clean and fresh. Just think clean and fresh. Like when you go to a hotel, you see a picture here, whatever, it's very sterile, but that's what buyers like. It feels fresh, and it feels like they can put their mark on it.
Okay. Well, Christine Denty, thank you so much for spending time today. And thanks for all the good advice. Christine Denty is with Right at Home Realty. I almost made it to the end. Right at Home Realty, Oshawa branch. Thanks so much, Christine, for joining us, and thanks to you for joining us as well. Take care, Christine, and take care. Until next time, I'm Deborah Hutchison.